Good morning, it's March 21st, and this is To My Little Friends. Well, every day brings us closer to the November election. It will be a close election, and more than likely be decided in the swing states. For most of the election cycle, it's focused on 6 states: Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Nevada. But recent polling has shown that you can add a few more states to the list. Those would be North Carolina, Minnesota, Virginia, and even New Mexico. The polling shows Trump leading in most of these states, and here are the current numbers. In Arizona, Trump's up 5 points. In Georgia, Trump's up 5. In North Carolina, again, Trump plus 5. In Nevada, Trump plus 5, and that's a surprise. In Michigan, Trump is up 3.5. In Wisconsin, he's up 1.5, and in Pennsylvania, it's basically dead even, with Trump up 0.5 point. In the states that are close and going for Biden, we see Minnesota, 3 points for Biden. In Virginia, Biden's up 4.5. In New Mexico, Biden's up 5. Now here's the problem for Biden as we look at the polls today. I would also say that 7 months is a lifetime in politics, and anything could happen that would swing these polls toward one candidate or the other. But right now, it's not good news for Joe Biden. Biden won Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania in 2020. Some of them were close, but he's down in all of these states right now. In addition, his lead in Minnesota and Virginia is much less than one would expect. To win, Biden needs to win all these states, and particularly has to win the upper Midwest, and that means winning Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Now, if we add in some more bad polling in the news, we can understand the reports that Biden's getting angry in private meetings with staff. Robert Kennedy Jr. is complicating this race. Both Kennedy and Jill Stein appear to be pulling more votes from Biden than Trump. Another huge factor is voting blocks. The Pew Research Center said that in 2020, there were about 32 million Hispanic voters, and that number has grown to 36 million in this year's election. I mention this because there appears to be a shift in how this bloc is voting. In the 2020 election, Biden won the Hispanic vote handily with just over 60% of the vote. In polling today, Trump has overtaken Biden with Hispanic voters, and in some polls now leads with a 39% to 34% edge. And that is a huge swing. In states like Arizona and Nevada, it could put those electoral votes in Trump's column. Well, Democrats have long relied on the Hispanic vote and have felt that their looser policies on illegal immigration were a key factor in getting those votes. But that may no longer be true. With a massive influx of illegal immigrants crossing the border, they're feeling pressure in the job market as these immigrants began to compete with them for jobs. It's a sad fact of life that many employers, particularly those hiring unskilled labor and many in the construction business, will turn to these immigrants because they're willing to work under the table and for less wages. It may not be right, but it's a fact. Then we come to the most loyal bloc of Democratic voters, and I'm talking about the black vote. In past elections, candidates like Biden could count on as much as 90% of the black vote. In a poll this week, it showed that the advantage Democrats have with this longtime group has shrunk. In a New York Times Siena poll, it showed that 66% of black voters say they lean to Democrats, but 19% now say they're leaning toward Republicans. If Trump can get anywhere close to 20% of the black vote, then this election will be basically over. The same poll showed Democrats getting less of the Hispanic vote, and one analytic points in the poll said, quote, Democrats cannot conceive that non-white voters are anything other than civil rights voters. In their mind, all Latinos need to be talked to like farm workers or the undocumented, even though that's less than 95% of us, and this from an Hispanic political consultant. For months, Democrats have watched the 2024 campaign unfold with rising alarm as the sitting president struggles to gain ground against his predecessor. Frustrations rippling through the party have reached the top, with Biden at times second-guessing travel decisions and communication strategies that have left much of the electorate clueless about his record. In interviews with 20 lawmakers, President passed, administration officials and allies showed their own frustration. The starting gun for the general election campaign fired last week as Biden wrapped up the Democratic nomination. Yet he's still searching for ways to impress upon voters that he deserves a second term simply by his policy achievements and things that have eluded past presidents. History suggests it will be tougher for him to recover. Biden's 38% approval rating at this stage in the calendar is lower than that of the last 3 presidents who went on to lose elections. Trump was 48%, George W. Bush 39%, and Jimmy Carter 43%, and that's according to Gallup survey at that time. All of that data has frustrated Biden, and reports out of the White House is that he has bursts of anger with cursing at aides. The real test will come later in the campaign when the stress will be greater and the physical demands exhausting. One key factor in all this will be the presidential debates. Trump has said he's willing to debate at any time, and Biden campaign has been mute. In my opinion, Trump would clean Biden's clock in a debate, and that's the fear that permeates the Biden campaign. The question is, will he debate or not debate? But to refuse to debate would be the nail in the coffin, that Biden is too old for the job and cannot stand up to the pressure. He's going to have to debate Trump. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.